At Biggs. What in the F is that thing? At TT45 pack. The Marine Corps will no longer require prospective officers to pass a punish in combat endurance test to graduate from its infantry officer course. At Rawong. I wonder what Melania is doing right now while Trump rage tweets and eats cheeseburgers in bed. At Fox News, at Charlie Kirk 11, at Judge Jeanine 03038.2, at Charlie Kirk 11. We have a culture problem in this country that has stemmed from failing public schools and bad government programs. At Judge Jeanine.
Failing public schools and bad government programs. This idea that people are just getting gunned down in the street in record numbers because everyone's having a machine gun, which by the way is illegal, is completely wrong, is adverse to reality.
Every morning on time, you could see him arrive. He stood 6'3" and weighed 235, kind of broad at the shoulder and fast with the lip. And everybody knew you didn't give no shit to Big Don. Big Don, Big Don, Big Bad Don. Through the dust and the smoke of this Democrat hell walked a giant of a man that the Patriots knew well, grabbed a sagging economy and let out with a groan, and like a mighty oak tree just stood there alone. Big Don. I'm talking about our man Donald Trump. He's the president now, and all you chumps can just settle down and stay in your safe space. We're about to make America a better place with Big Don. Big Don, Big Don, Big Bad Don. Well, old Don got to work because we got problems to be solved, and the Democrats shouted, "The Russians are involved," brought out their special counsel with Robert Mueller. Too bad the wall just got 10 feet taller with Big Don. Well, they will lie and cheat and steal and threaten and pander to illegals before our veterans, but we're over these liberals loading our country in a hearse. It's about time to put America first with Big Don. Big Don, Big Don, Big Bad Don. We're gonna put these criminals where they belong. We got people like Hannity and Julian Assange and all the centipedes following QAnon, and Americans like me just
At Mike
singing a
Zollo.
song for Big
First
Don.
they were called illegal aliens. Then the left thought that was too offensive, so they called them illegal immigrants. Then undocumented immigrants. Then undocumented workers. Then immigrants. Then they just went with dreamers. Guess what? They're illegal aliens. Got it? The woman who designed the former First Lady's dress, Michelle Smith, is an outspoken supporter of liberal causes like LGBT equality and Planned Parenthood, in addition to being a vocal critic of at Silver Stacker, at Vane Abil, at Tone of Puff replying, at Vane Abil, at Onlinin Sixt. That is the legitimate government of Syria to you. The government supports terrorism in Syria, making it the regime, not Syria. We do know who is behind the destruction of the Middle East and why. As for Advana Abili, I'll believe her overlying Western regime mouthpieces any day. At Patilo. On President's Day Monday, February 19th, change your Twitter profile picture to Hillary Clinton. Pass it on. At Adam Post. Not sure we've ever seen a lower act by us president than to weaponize one of our worst school shootings ever to attack a non-partisan FB while enabling a foreign adversary, all to save his own crooked ass. What a sad, sad man Donald Trump is. At liberal racist. Fox News host Janine Pirro blames Barack Obama for a Porter wife beating scandal. At Tiran Shismath. Let's NOT. At MJFRE, at Real Donald Trump. Hey, at Real Donald Trump, you gonna check out Black Panther? Looking forward to your thoughts. At 1776 Stonewall. Instead of attacking Monroe, we should be utilizing Monroe. I am an member, and trust me, you want me in a school protecting your kids. At Bratpack, at Sherriol replying, at Bratpack, at Stock Guy 6, at Bernie Sanders. Wow, there is much more that Bernie has done wrong. I researched all candidates during 2016. Bernie is responsible for the wait-time deaths of a few vets when he was over the VA. If interested on documentation, use Twitter as advanced search & search for vet and Bernie under my profile. At Jason Kender. People keep saying we're becoming numb to school shootings, but I don't feel numb. I feel angry and determined. At Sarah Philanusa, powerful and so good to see. Prayers for her continued recovery. President Donald Trump made a surprise visit to Broward Health North Medical Center in Deerfield Beach, Florida to visit students who had been at Defend Europa. The picture that shows world elitist contempt to Brexiteers as Lagarde snubs Theresa May. Arch-Europhile Christine Lagarde issued an extraordinary snub to Theresa May yesterday by talking throughout her speech and then leaving halfway. At Seth MacFarlane, at CNN Portland. To those broad-stroke defenders of the Second Amendment, how many of you have actually been shot at any at all? Well, listen to these kids who have. At Base Monitored. Chris Rock, I want to live in a world where an equal amount of white kids are shot every month. He continued, I want to see white mothers on TV crying. The anti-white narrative continues.
I want to live in a world where an equal amount of white kids are shot every month. An equal world. I want to see white mothers on TV crying.
Emma Gonzalez. A senior at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School addressed a gun control rally on Saturday in Fort Lauderdale, days after a help support our podcast that investigates Donald Trump, Russia and cop corruption. At Great Lakes Offa, can you imagine being such a shitty human that after watching a terrorized teen who just survived a mass shooting spill her heart you felt the need to go online and try to tear her down? Trump's ridiculous military parade could last 5 hours and cost taxpayers $30 million. At Renato Mariotti, at Real Donald Trumper, Mueller will be interested in this tweet, because Trump explicitly states that he doesn't want to be investigating collusion with Russia. This could be used as evidence of his intent when he fired Comey. At Gateway Pundit, at Cassandra Rue, at Timcast1. YouTube deletes popular journalist's video criticizing the media over falling for 4chan Florida shooter hoax at Cassandra Rules at Timcast. YouTube has removed a video by Tim Pool, a popular and award-winning journalist, that criticized the mainstream media for falling for a 4chan hoax that lie. At Timcast. YouTube just removed my video criticizing the media for the Florida suspect hoax and gave me a strike. WTF. At Objective. Very excited to see the Mueller indictment today. We shared Russian ads with Congress, Mueller and the American people to help the public understand how the Russians abuse our system. Still, there are key facts about the Russian actions that are still not well understood. At Progress Outlook. If Democrats want to win 2020, we must carry Florida and North Carolina. At Felix Venus, at Sarah Silvermanju, you're campaigning for a person who was caught on video physically assaulting a soldier and who has called for stabbings and suicide bombing. You should probably just stick to mediocre comedy and looking for swastikas on the street. At Tribala, at Amy Siskin we are. Some silences speak volumes. At Brasil Magic. I need every black man in the country to go out tomorrow and buy an R-15 assault weapon. The LLB banned by Tuesday. David Hilton.
Was it perfect? If a small business opens, no one ever buys anything. Is it a business? It's not enough to just make something. Make your business stand out with a beautiful website. Make it Squarespace. Start your free trial today and use offer code SoundCloud to save 10%.
And welcome back, everyone. Now, thousands of people have gathered at an anti-gun rally in the U.S. city of Fort Lauderdale in the state of Florida, after 17 students were shot dead at a high school on Wednesday. Student survivors at Parkland School, where the shooting took place, pleaded with lawmakers to change U.S. gun laws. They urged people to get out and protest, saying the thoughts and prayers were simply not enough anymore. Shooting at the Florida high school is prompting calls for school protests throughout the states. Angry protesters also condemned U.S. President Donald Trump over his ties to the NRA, that's the National Rifle Association.
My face that it was a terrible tragedy and how it should never have happened, and maintain telling us how nothing is going to be done about it, I'm going to happily ask him how much money he received from the National Rifle Association.
Same Molten Justice is determined in the Presidential Palace News DW 17 2.2018.
The number of gunshot victims in the United States in the 1 months in 2018 alone, that comes out to being $5,800.
Austin Dix 13 Russians for election interference News DW 16 2.2018. Magnitude 7.2 earthquake rattles Mexico, triggering deadly helicopter crash. France 24.
Political commentator Jacob Music says the reluctance of U.S. politicians to reform gun laws.
What Trump still gets wrong about how Russia played Facebook wired.
The interests of its people.
Video fleeing ethnic strife. Congolese refugees seek haven on Ugandan shores. France 24.
In the United States. That means 323 million guns. Yet only 1/3 of the population actually owns these guns. And only
Same Molten Justice is determined in the Presidential Palace News DW 17 2.2018.
In its inability to pass gun control legislation is being held hostage by, if you're going to calculate liberally, 5 million people in an interest group. I think that raises a lot of questions if we cannot pass such legislation when in my entire lifetime, I was born in 1991, there has only been 1 year when Americans
Federer becomes oldest world number 1. France 24.
Stricter gun control, and that was 2011. Every other year since
Federer becomes oldest world number 1. France
the majority
24.
of Americans, according to the Gallup poll agency, have favored stricter gun legislation. We've had decades, and in my case, a lifetime to change our policy. And we have been unwilling and unable to, as well as obstructed by the private interests of the NRA. I think that this issue in particular begs the question, is the United States really a democracy serving the interests of the people and responding to their needs? Or is it simply a mechanism for capitalist interests to
Russian
be able
indictment
to
PayPal,
put
YouTube,
government at
Facebook
their
used
behest?
this
I
way
think
as
that's a
politics.
very existential question for the United States, and it's not, nowhere is it exemplified as much as in this issue of gun control.
US government is exceptionally vulnerable to cyber attacks, security expert says. FBI director under pressure to resign after Florida school shooting. Barack and Michelle Obama portraits unveiled in Washington News DW 12.2018. Suicide bombers kill at least 19 in northeast Nigeria. Market attack France 24. No light at the end of a tunnel in eastern Ghouta, Syria. News DW 12.2018. Federer becomes oldest world number 1. France 24.
A lot of people,
Syria 2018, the major issues for the year ahead. Syria deeply.
Oppressed women, but it has nothing to do
The
with
Black Panther
oppression.
movie is racist. Alex Jones info hours. There is a war on for your mind.
Themselves, and they want to appear modest, and they don't want to be judged on their cover, but from the inside.
I think regardless of what's going on, there will always be people that talk negatively. So you just have to look past that, and as long as you're focused on doing what you're doing.
Life under siege, how people struggle to survive in eastern Syria deeply. How Turkey has potential Afrin push measures up against Syria deeply. New antibiotic found in your Alex Jones info hours. There is a war on for your mind. Germany considering free public transportation to take on air pollution. News DW 13.2018. America is forever wars. Guantanamo Bay prepared for new inmates, says US Admiral Zero Hedge. Yahoo Mail free email with 1000 GB of storage. In the Russian investigation, clues were lost in translation. Wired. In Homs, Assad accused of using military for urban planning. Syria deeply. News and current affairs from Germany and around the world. DW. What is up with those Pentagon UFO videos, Wired? Guantanamo trial of coal bombing suspect halted. Stolen €1 million cello returned to French musician off legaler. News. DW 17.2.2018. Yahoo Finance, Business Finance, Stock Market, Quote, News. Custer child abuse case fact-finding report HRCP.
Here are some of the big stories we'll be watching in the coming days. EU leaders are meeting in Brussels.
Trump advisor Russian meddling in controvertible.
The bloc's budget after Brexit. We'll get a health check from several of the UK's biggest banks. And how is the world's largest retailer faring? We'll find out when Walmart reports its quarterly.
I need to find things. Found this nugget. Counting the homeless on the streets of Paris. Friends 24. Now this is just outlandish. International News 24/7. Text by Guillaume Hugon. Latest update 2018-02-17. At 8:45 p.m. in the 20th arrondissement district, town hall in eastern Paris, Louise Landa is handing out maps to her team of volunteers. I hope you're wearing good shoes, she jokes, informing the team that they have just over an hour to complete their route. I think we've got the largest sector, says Natalie McCoy, poring over her map marking her designated area of about 15 blocks between the Boulevard P. Baring Road around the French capital, and an abandoned railway track. Cusser child hash abuse case fact-finding report bar HRCP. I always find the weirdest things. An HRCPX fact-finding mission has received credible testimonies indicating large-scale sexual abuse of children over many years in village Hassan Kanwala in Kasar district. It is clear that a heinous crime has been committed against children. The references made to land dispute in the village are irrelevant and nothing can justify avoidance of impartial investigation and prosecution. The fact-finding team agrees that the crime remained concealed largely because the victims' families paid extortion money and they were also intimidated. The police could not have been unaware of the video clippings freely circulating in the area and rumors of abuse of children, and their failure to take action lends support to charges of policemen as collusion with the culprits. The team found the role of political parties very distributing, and it is also disturbed at the victim families' lack of interest in the children as psychological rehabilitation. Pakistan serial killer sentenced to death for murder and rape of girl, 7 The New York Times. Wow, check out what's going on. Islamabad, Pakistan. An anti-terrorism court in Pakistan on Saturday sentenced to death a 24-year-old man for the murder and rape of a girl, 7, in a case that caused nationwide outrage and put a spotlight on child sexual abuse in the country. The killer, Imran Ali, was also sentenced to life imprisonment on account of sodomy, and a large fine was imposed for desecrating the body of a girl, Zainab Amin. During the 4-day trial, Mr. Ali also confessed to raping a total of 9 girls, 7 of whom, including Zainab, he killed over the last 18 months, according to H.M. Qadr, the Prosecutor General of Punjab Province. Zainab went missing on Jan 4th after leaving her house to take Quran lessons at her aunt's home in Kasar, a city about 30 miles south of Lahore. Her body was found in a garbage heap near her home after 5 days. The episode shocked the whole country, and angry protesters clashed with police officers in Kasar, leading to 2 deaths. People across Pakistan expressed dismay over the delayed response by the police to trace the killer, and pressure mounted on the provincial government to bring the perpetrator to justice. At TrumpBabe69. Rape America. You went soft on discipline. You kept both parents at work, rather than spending time with their children. You took God out of schools. We've lost a whole generation that has turned into selfish brats that have no respect for people, property, or authority. At Daymare Trade. Winning your fantasy league not easy. Rolling over your old 401k. Easier than you think. At Liberal Racist. Fox News host floats an anti-gun violence plan that is as gross as it is stupid. Splinter. Following the mass shooting at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida, on Wednesday, Fox News host Greg Gutfeld revealed a foolproof plan. The National Labor Relations Board has concluded that tech giant Google did not violate any labor laws by firing James Damore. At Via Europe. Thousands rally against Munich Security Conference in Germany. Around 2,200 people participated in a demonstration against the ongoing Munich Security Conference NSC in Germany, local Bayerischer Rundfunk. At Serduka Devin. An R-15 is a military-grade weapon. It should require the same background check as someone joining the military. You know, the one where they ask friends and family about you and at least skim your social media accounts. Don't he say background checks won't he have worked?
البلد الأمين طينة zeytine ve emin beldeye yemin olsun ki diyor. Evet. Şimdi işte o yemin üzere bizler de Mehmet'imizle beraber Afrin'de yürüyoruz. Yürüyoruz. Eyvallah. Eyvallah. Zaten buna inandığımız sürece mesele yok.
At Buzzkurt. Erdogan recites verses from chapter 95 of Muslim holy book Quran that he said inspired him to name Afrin military offensive, as Olive Branch says his troops march based on these words from God. At Ed Grasson. Today would be a great day to implement the sanctions. Just saying. The program has provided amnesty to illegal immigrants from countries ranging from Iran to Syria and wealthy nations in Europe. At Neon Tester. I find a lot of Muniakon's arguments to be silly, but there is something to be said about people like Max Boot and Brett Stevens acting like pacifist flower children on U.S. gun policy.
Is so monumental that the same rule must apply. The killing of young innocents, their teachers and coaches, gunned down in a school, a place that should be a haven in a heartless world, lays at the hands of the FBI. And although shooter crews pulled the trigger, the potential slaughter, twice reported to the FBI, could have been prevented had they bothered to lift a finger. A concerned citizen sees this on YouTube, quote, "I want to be a professional school shooter." And that citizen is so alarmed, he takes the time to call the FBI. They take the complaint and do nothing. But after 17 killed and 14 wounded, the FBI has the unmitigated gall to walk up to a microphone and say,
there was not enough PII to positively identify the subject, so it got closed at that point.
Close it out, say what? You had no further identifying information? Are you not the FBI? There are only 13 Nicholas Cruzes in the country. To support this lame excuse, the FBI trots out messengers briefed with the FBI talking points.
The FBI is very limited in what it can do with this type of information. They're looking for federal crimes that they can prosecute. On its face, this single posting does not give you that. You're not going to be able to take that to a prosecutor and say, if I prove who posted this, will you charge them? The answer is no.
Continues by saying FBI agents, bless them, are working within their guidelines, adding they can't follow someone for protection.
And we'll come back, everyone. Now, thousands of people have gathered at an anti-gun rally in the U.S. city of Fort Lauderdale in the state of Florida. That's where 17 students were shot dead at a high school on Wednesday. Student survivors at Parkland School, where the shooting took place, pleaded with lawmakers to change U.S. gun laws. They urged people to get out and protest, saying the thoughts and prayers were simply not enough anymore. Shooting at the Florida high school is prompting calls for school protests throughout the states. Angry protesters also condemned U.S. President Donald Trump over his ties to the NRA, that's the National Rifle Association.
If the president wants to come up to me and tell me to my face that it was a terrible tragedy and how it should never happen, and maintain telling us how nothing is going to be done about it, I'm going to happily ask him how much money he received from the National Rifle Association.
Far-right nationalists rally in Bulgarian capital. News DW 18.2018.
Divided by the number of gunshot victims in the United States in the 1 months in 2018 alone.
Munich Security Conference. Europe has elusive common security policy. News DW 17.2018.
If you don't do anything to prevent this from continuing to occur, that number of gunshot victims will go up, and the number that they are worth will go down. And we will be worthless to you. To every politician who is taking donations from the NRA, shame on you.
Political commentator Jacob Music says the reluctance of U.S. politicians to reform gun laws shows the U.S. is not a democracy which serves the interests of its people.
According to CNN, there's a gun for every person in the United States. That means 323 million guns. Yet
Austin
only
13 Russians for
1/3
election
of the
interference. News
population
DW
actually owns these guns, and only
16.2018.
5 million belong to the NRA, which means that the United States in its inability to pass gun control legislation is being held hostage by, if you're going to calculate liberally, 5 million people in an interest group. I think that raises a lot of questions if we cannot pass such legislation when in my entire lifetime, I was born in 1991, there has only been 1 year when Americans have not favored stricter gun control, and that was 2011. Every other year since 1991, the majority of Americans, according to the Gallup poll agency,
Russians indicted in Special
favored
Counsel
stricter
Robert
gun
Mueller as pro.
legislation. We've had decades, and in my case, a lifetime to change our policy. And we have been unwilling and unable to, as well as obstructed by the private
Copycat how
interests of the
Facebook tried to
NRA.
squash
I
Snapchat
think
wired.
that this issue in particular begs the question, is
New
the
York
United
prosecutors
States
whose
really
Harvey
a
Weinstein's
democracy
studio
serving
ahead of
the interests
reported
of the
Dale News
people
DW
and responding to their
2.208.
needs? Or is it simply a mechanism for capitalist
Turkey denies use
interests
of
to be
chemical
able to
weapons in Syria News
put government
DW
at their
17
behest? I think that's a very
2.2018.
existential question for the United States, and it's not, nowhere is it exemplified as much as in this issue of gun control.
Deeply talks the future of Syria's female Syria deeply. FBI acknowledges failure to investigate tip on Florida gunman friends 24. French right-wing leader Wauquiez under fire over comments about Macron, Sarkozy friends 24. Japan plans to raise pension age beyond 70 News DW 17 2.2018. After Florida school shooting, thousands demand change at anti-gun rally News DW 17 2.2018.
A lot of people, when they think of modest fashion, they think of oppressed women, but it has nothing to do with oppression. The women who dress modestly respect themselves, and they want to appear modest, and they don't want to be judged on their cover, but from the inside.
I think regardless of what's going on, there will always be people that talk negatively. So you just have to look past that, and as long as you're focused on doing what you're doing,
Understanding America's endgame in Syria deeply. French PM calls for defense strategy. Alex Jones info hours there as a war on for your mind. World news breaking international news and headlines. Sky News. Matt White, national political columnist for Yahoo. Romney officially announces Senator Alex Jones info hours there as a run for your mind. Video of the new Nicholas Cruz was a threat. Alex Jones info hours there as a run for your mind. US government is exceptionally vulnerable to cyber attacks, security expert says. Syrian conflict isn't over. Don't forget the Syrians though Syria deeply. After Florida shooting, students protect against guns. How de-escalation zones in Syria became a war management strategy. Syria deeply. Politics Yahoo News latest news ampersand headlines. In Homs, Assad accused of using military for urban planning Syria deeply.
Hello and welcome to the week ahead from the Financial Times in London. Here are some of the big stories we'll be watching in the coming days. EU leaders are meeting in Brussels to discuss how they'll fill a gap in the bloc's budget after Brexit. We'll get a health check from several of the UK's biggest banks. And how is the world's largest retailer faring? We'll find out when Walmart reports its quarterly results. Let's start in Europe, where EU leaders are set to meet in Brussels on
Florida,
Friday for a
angry and
summit
grieving,
about the
takes
union's
gun protest
long-term
to
budget
streets
and
app news.
future leadership. The gathering will be the first time the heads of government of the 27
Mueller
member
indexed
states
13
debate
Russians for
what to
meddling
do
in
about the gap
2016
created in their
presidential
trillion-euro
election, France
budget after
24.
Brexit. Big net contributors such as Germany say there may be a need to contribute more in the
Four
coming
Israelis
years.
hurt by bomb setting
But the
flag at
size of
Gaza
any
fans,
increase is
igniting
highly
night of fighting the
contentious.
New York
Other
Times.
EU members, including the Netherlands, Finland, and Denmark, would prefer to cut back spending in areas
Omarosa
such
says
as
hell no
farm
when asked if
subsidies,
she ever slept with Trump. New York Daily News.
Separately, the group will examine the difficult question of how to appoint the next president of the European Commission, which is the union's executive body. Here's Alex Barker, our Brussels bureau chief, with more on what to expect.
The EU's
Yahoo
trillion
free email
euro
with
long-term
1000 GB of
budget
storage.
is always one of the most difficult things to negotiate in Brussels, and this time around it's even harder because of Brexit. That's leaving a big gap that the EU member states need to decide whether to fill or
Omarosa
to
man
cut back on
is sleeping with
spending
Donald Trump.
projects.
People come.
This week, the big decision for the leaders who are at the summit will be broadly how big that budget should be, and secondly, how quickly they want to reach an agreement. Usually it takes about 18 months to 2 years.
Hello, Trump needs a return to King
Incredibly
Dollar.
fraught. This time, they're thinking maybe they can accelerate things and reach an agreement before the European elections in May next year.
Now, there will be a slew of banking results out this week to watch. HSBC's annual results will be the
Fed
last
to repeal
ones presented by
298
Chief
tax
Executive
regulations.
Stuart
Alex
Gulliver,
Jones info hours
who will be
there is a
handing
warrant
over
for
to
your
John
mind.
Flint, the current head of retail banking and wealth management. Mr. Gulliver looks set to go out on a high.
Omarosa
with
claims
analysts
someone in the White
expecting
House is
HSBC
sleeping around with
to break
everybody.
almost
Vanity
a
Fair.
decade-long decline in revenues and report top-line growth of 8% and a more than doubling of pre-tax profits to $17.9 billion. Investors in Lloyd's Banking Group will find out more about
Custer
its
child
new
abuse
three-year
case fact-finding
strategy,
report
particularly the
HRCP.
bank's efforts to ramp up its digital initiatives. Elsewhere, Barclays is expected to report a slight increase in pre-tax profits to £4.7 billion. That excludes conduct and litigation costs. While Royal Bank of Scotland is expected to announce a 4% rise in revenues and a move from a heavy operating loss to an operating profit of £1.1 billion. Here's our banking editor, Martin Arnold, to explain why investors should be looking forward to the results.
It's going to be all about
I'm going back for more data. What's up with all the stuff that's been going down lately? FBI director under pressure to resign after Ash Florida school shooting. Check this out, it's high energy. Pressure is mounting on the FBI director to resign after his agency admitted it failed to investigate a warning that the man accused of killing 17 people at a Florida high school possessed a gun and the desire to kill. The disclosure spread angry disbelief among residents of a Miami suburb of Parkland where Wednesday's massacre unfolded, and led Florida's Governor Rick Scott to call for FBI Chief Christopher Wray to resign. The FBI's failure to take action against this killer is unacceptable, Scott, a Republican, said in a statement. We constantly promote see something, say something, and a courageous person did just that to the FBI, and the FBI failed to act. Scott's comments came after the Federal Bureau of Investigation said in a statement that a person described as someone close to accused gunman Nicholas Cruz, 19, called in FBI tip line on Jan. 5th, weeks before the shooting at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School. To report concerns about him. The caller provided information about Cruz's gun ownership, desire to kill people, erratic behavior, and disturbing social media posts, as well as the potential of him conducting a school shooting, it said. Cusser child hash abuse case fact-finding report bar HRCP. Whoa. Now that's spicy. An HRCP's fact-finding mission has received credible testimonies indicating large-scale sexual abuse of children over many years in village Hassan Kanwala in Kasar district. It is clear that a heinous crime has been committed against children. The references made to land dispute in the village are irrelevant and nothing can justify avoidance of impartial investigation and prosecution. The fact-finding team agrees that the crime remained concealed largely because the victims' families paid extortion money and they were also intimidated. The police could not have been unaware of the video clippings freely circulating in the area and rumors of abuse of children, and their failure to take action lends support to charges of policemen's collusion with the culprits. The team found the role of political parties very distributing, and it is also disturbed at the victim families' lack of interest in the children's psychological rehabilitation. Budget chief wants billions more from Germany post Brexit bar news bar DW bar 16.2.2018. Check this out, it's high energy. Budget chief Jean Thorotinger says he wants Berlin to pay at least €3 billion more to cope with new tasks after Britain leaves the bloc. But he said that meant just 10 cents a day more for everyone in Germany. Germany will be expected to contribute about $3 billion to $3.5 billion, $3.76 billion to $4.4 billion more to the EU than it does now to help meet new challenges facing Europe. European Union Budget Commissioner Jean Thorotinger said in remarks published Friday. With 3 or 3.5 billion euros more from Germany, we could close the gap left by Brexit and finance additional measures, Thorotinger told the Bild newspaper. He cited the protection of the EU's external borders and the fight against terrorism as being among the new challenges facing the bloc. That would be about 10 cents per day more than now per head, he said. Britain plans to leave the EU on March 29, 2019. Sun US satirical art. The Korean date on Through the Eyes of a Defector Friends 24. G. Willikers. International News 24/7. Text by Sanam Shankyayinali. Follow at Sanam24 on Twitter. Latest update to 018-0217. The opening ceremony at this month's Winter Olympics Games was a dazzling spectacle. But what stole the show was the image of athletes from North and South Korea walking side by side behind the unified flag, embodying the hopes of a peninsula divided by ideology and mistrust. The apparent detente caught the world by surprise. In 2017, the threat of nuclear missile attack by Pyongyang reached an all-time high. Trump finally addresses the lack of gun control after the Florida massacre. Mother Jones. I can't believe it. Kenya Great Wonky at Kajanfub, 17-2018-800 p.m. Oliver Contreras/CPUSA via app. President Trump is finally talking about gun control 3 days after a mass shooting that left 17 people dead and injured at least 14 others at a high school in Parkland, Florida. The president was silent about the issue in a speech at the White House on Thursday, where he offered condolences to the families of the students and teachers murdered and said he would meet with lawmakers and others to discuss school safety. He also visited victims and their families in Broward County on Friday. On Saturday evening, Trump tweeted, "Just like they don't want to solve the DACA problem, why didn't the Democrats pass gun control legislation when they had both the House and Senate during the Obama administration? Because they didn't want to, and now they just talk."
Man, having a vacation. We'll have meetups every single place I go to.
So right now, about to have our meetup here in Bangkok, Thailand. As you guys can see, we have a huge crowd. Bangkok is definitely showing out. Keep us posted on any upcoming ICOs. This is probably the biggest meetup I've had so far. This guy runs Thailand, Bangkok right now. We have a full house in Phuket. It's Crypto Family. Everywhere we go, we meet lots of cool people. I think in 2018, we'll have so many moon landings. Oh, thanks for being here. Thanks for coming here, man. Meetup hasn't even started yet, and it's already a full crowd. Once again, 3 big meetups in Thailand. I have these meetups for you guys, right, to give back, right? Because I can't do what I'm doing without you guys. You guys are the real MVP.
Bye again.
At Real Savidra, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Conversation over. At Lionel Media. You wanna talk gun violence? At ShareBlue. Devin Nunes becomes laughingstock after launching fake news site. The embattled House Intelligence Committee chair is using campaign money to defend his lies and pretend it is news. The devastating tragedy that took place a few days ago at a southern Florida high school, leaving 17 people dead and several more injured, has people
shot every month. An equal world. I want to see white mothers on TV crying.
At the Oasts. Early contender for Savage of the Year. At Nidjigamer. Resident Evil 72017. At Fox News. A kid in Missouri smashed the ice that covered a trampoline in 1 epic bounce. At Thomas 1774 Payne. CNN's Jake Tapper moves uptown into plush $4 million suburban DC. Mansion hides ownership through lawyer. Just how does the television reporter making approximately $300K a year afford a $4 million plush suburban Washington DC? Estate the mortgage. At Thibram Forum, at FB must answer for this. In no way can we excuse Miami field office agents' decision not to act on multiple tips, warnings and social media posts. Our deep state doesn't want to keep us safe. Trump knows. Trump 2020 see something say something MAGA TBF 2018 midterms. At Defend Europa. London's modest fashion show celebrates Sharia-compliant clothing weeks after women burn hijabs in Iran. London Modest Fashion Week will celebrate the modest fashion industry 2 weeks after Iranian women burn their hijabs on No Hijab Day. At Gatongab. Mark Zuckerberg will likely sell billions of dollars of Facebook stock this year. The Facebook CEO could sell as much as $13 billion worth over the next 13 months. At Shehzadin, 6 red flags were raised in 2013 when Rahul's gov was in power.
नेशनल स्टॉक एक्सचेंज और सेबी गीतांजलि कंपनी को सस्पेंड करती है 6 महीने के लिए मार्केट मैनिपुलेशन के लिए। 3 महीने के अंदर ही इसको रीइंस्टेट किया जाता है 2013 में। 2013 में ही अगस्त में LIC जैसी बड़ी कंपनी इस फ्रॉड कंपनी में 4.5% का इन्वेस्टमेंट करती है। किसके इशारे पे करती है? फाइनेंस मिनिस्ट्री पूछती है कि क्यों इसमें इन्वेस्टमेंट हुआ, पर जवाब नहीं देती है, रिपोर्ट बंद हो जाती है। 2013 में ही ये दिनेश दुबे जिनको प्रताड़ित किया गया, उन्होंने ईमेल लिख के बताया कि क्या क्या हो रहा था और उनको प्रताड़ित करके 3 साल के टेन्योर को समाप्त कर दिया गया कुछ ही महीनों में। और 2013 में ही गोकुलनाथ शेट्टी जो एक किंग पिन है स्कैम का, उसके इसकी ट्रांसफर की डेट ड्यू होती है तो उसको ट्रांसफर नहीं किया जाता है। किसके इशारे पे? और 2013 में पता है क्या हुआ? कॉकटेल पीने राहुल गांधी नीरव मोदी के पास पहुंचते हैं। आपको पता है और क्या हुआ? आज निर्मला सीतारमण जी ने कहा है कि अभिषेक मनु सिंघवी जी के परिवार की कंपनी का कोई तो कमर्शियल ट्रांजैक्शन नीरव मोदी के साथ हुआ। मेरा सवाल इतना है कि फोटो पे अगर बड़ा मोदी और छोटा मोदी भाई भाई है, मेहुल भाई है, ऐसा हो जाता है, तो ये भाईचारा इतना क्यों बताया गया? इतने रेड फ्लैग आए तो आपने क्यों नहीं उठाया और कर दिया इसको खत्म, ताकि ये स्कैम आगे ना बढ़े? ये सवाल तो उठेंगे और आखिर में ये बात उठेगी कि पैसे के पीछे हाथ किसका?
But I just want to frame the angles properly. Mr. Kapil Sibbal's press conference was on and you are saying Mehul Bhai, Mehul Bhai.
Who's this?
But let us ask कि Mehul Bhai के साथ भाईगिरी किसने निभाई? Why? 2013 is a key year. Regulators are investigating Mehul Bhai. Regulators shut the probe. LIC invests into Mehul Bhai's company. Red flag is raised. Nothing is done. Mehul Bhai की कंपनी के ऊपर Dinesh Dubey raises a red flag. Nothing is done. The Dinesh Dubey whistleblower is thrown out. Okay. And this is the same 2013 where Rahul Gandhi is seen hobnobbing with Nirav Bhai. Now my question to you, I agree that all the legitimate questions, Rahul, you have asked on this panel after 20...
The more appalled I am. He should be fired. At via Europe. Report 8,480 Turkish citizens sought asylum in Germany in 2017. At Brian Lasonusa, at Tim McThur. And be white, married, ignorant, like Emily Young, lack fashion sense, and pretend to be straight. At Michael Waller. It is easy to stop Russian interference in us internal affairs. The Putin regime is far more vulnerable than it looks. We simply must demonstrate the will and capability to exploit those vulnerabilities, as explained a year ago. By J. Michael Waller, Forbes, January 4th, 2017. The real scandal about Russian subversion of the American political process is that the nation's leadership has known about it for years and done no. At B52 Malmut, at Hillary Clinton. Operation Translator is what it was called. 80 people working to discredit at Hillary Clinton and promote the D-level TV celeb. Putin's reach is deep in our democracy. Any Republicans wanna keep disputing this or start protecting us complicit Congress? At Fox Business, at Richard Fowler, think about the teachers and the police officers and the garbage men all across the country. Their wages have not increased.
And the garbage work and the garbage men all across this country, their wages have not increased. Let's take West Virginia, for example. In West Virginia, teachers have actually seen their pay go down because their health care premiums have gone up, and they're not in the Affordable Care Act.
A speech at Portland State University by James Damore, author of the infamous Google memo, was interrupted on Saturday night when activists reportedly smashed the S. At MarketWatch. Ashton Kutcher's best investments. A talk with Kutcher about investing, financial firsts, and his best advice for living the life you want.
Brown skin and brown eyes like Antonio. So beautiful. So beautiful.
Girl, bye. Nancy. Nutty Nancy. You know you lying. So you telling me that your little white grandson made a birthday wish that he wanted to be brown like the little Mexican boy. Out of all the wishes in the world, this little kid didn't wish to go to Disneyland.
Republican quits, denounces Trump, more racism, more hatred in America with current President Newsweek.
Girl, you know you lying, Nancy. You need to go to bed.
I do not support the actions coming from the White House, Brandon Dufresne said. I am tired of attempting to defend a machine that does not defend the people I love.
Not to be a racist Democrat, okay? You sound like
at the ratio for liberals. It is pathetic that you politicize every mass shooting to further your anti-2A agenda. FB is solely at fault for not doing its job when they had a chance to stop Cruz. No, Trump did not make it easier for mentally ill people to buy. At Fox News, at Uncle Jimbo, there is no Trump Russia and there never has been. But there is a Hillary Obama the resistance GPS DNC Russia that nobody wants to pay attention to.
Paying those lawyers. But the bottom line is there is no Trump Russia and there never has been. But there is a Hillary Obama Dem resistance GPS DNC Russia that nobody wants to pay attention to, and maybe they should.
They are spending too much time trying to prove Russian collusion with the Trump campaign. At Brian55D, at Rawankver, unbelievable. In one tweet, Trump blames the FB for the Florida school shooting and defends the Russians for their interference in an American election. Unbelievably sad. At Katos, at Consortium New. My latest in at Consortium news about the Mueller indictments and the ensuing calls for more escalations with Russia. Russiagate, Trump-Russia Cold War. Special Prosecutor Robert Mueller's indictment of 13 alleged members of a Russian troll farm is leading to calls for escalation with Russia, exacerbating tensions that are already at historic end. A 26-year-old man has been detained in the East Flemish municipality of Benderleeuw after he punched a guard on a train he traveling on without. At Voti. What do you think is the best superhero program of all time, and why is it Batman the Animated Series? It probably is Batman the Animated Series. I wish more shows would follow its lead of making Eve. Curious Cat is a Q&A social network that allows you to connect with your followers and know new people. At Nathan Lerner, at Sinfons China massive national crisis occurs and Republicans respond with thoughts and prayers. Democrats take comprehensive legislative action. Which party do you want controlling Congress in 2018? At Bayern York, at Yaksprat replying, at Bayern York HMM. Folks, I was joking when I said if big report on Trump Russia probe would be out in 2021 or so. I don't know. But I do know it hasn't started yet, so isn't he coming anytime soon? Part of the poster design for the 36th edition of Iran's annual Fajr International Film Festival, photo by Fajr.com, as Iran's yearly Fajr. At Bongino. Now that the Trump-Russia hoax can finally be put to bed, can we address the real Russian collusion between the Hillary team, the DNC, the media, and the Obama administration? It is time we all knew the truth.
Oh, look, let me me zoom in on this one so y'all can see this one too. I guess if you watch Black Panther, you seen it. Oh yeah, y'all watch Black Panther. Listen, y'all don't do nothing. This is Channel 12 reporting live from Brookhaven, Mississippi, where they are still doing racist shit like this.
At Thomas Victor 1, let us talk about mental illness. I am an expert, since I am mentally ill. Flat effect. The floor the mass shooter has it.
What's happening? My name is Dr. Clarence and welcome to TV7 Live, where we get to give you all the hottest and top trending topics. Alright, the title of this video, she is not Morgan Tsvangirai's mother. Forgive ye, she is old and probably mental. I wrote that title. Alright guys, this lady may be probably the worst hated Zimbabwean woman apart from Grace Mugabe. Yes, you hear me right. Big up to everybody who's watching us live right about now, guys. Keep your likes coming, keep your comments coming. Alright, I'm gonna make your comments show on the screen right now. Alright. We're gonna be talking about this lady, and it happens, or rather it so happens that she is not Morgan Tsvangirai's biological mother, but she is just some overzealous relative who claims to be Morgan Tsvangirai's mother. Right? Now this is a funeral, and this lady says, I don't want so and so to come at a funeral. This is a funeral. It's not a wedding. You don't invite people to a funeral. People just come to a funeral, and you don't say, I don't want this person to come to a funeral.
Israel Polish PMS Jewish perpetrators Holocaust remark outrageous news DW 18.2018.
Tsvangirai family has said they don't want Chamisa to attend Morgan's funeral. Chamisa to attend Morgan's funeral, and that Chamisa has to respect their decision. You don't invite people to your funeral.
Sunwoo's satirical article reimagined through the eyes of a defector from 24.
Anybody can come to anybody's funeral, right? Kana vachilaunya zviita vanhu vanotedzera culture, right? You don't have to put a stunt woman to act as Tsvangirai's mother. Yes, munhu wese muhombe, we call her mother, and we respect her. But kana vakuda kunyembedzera kutange mai vemunhu manje, wakuda kunyembedzera kutange mai vemunhu, akomana, yei, I don't, apana madokta ebrain ere ambobata ambuyava.
Carnival parades 1 millions across Germany. News DW 2.2018.
Keep the light coming. Okay, I'm just gonna play a short clip, right, of what this woman did who has become the most hated woman in Zimbabwe. Zvaita mukadzi uyu. Right?
Russian indictment PayPal, YouTube, Facebook used to sway us politics.
We continue with the news tonight. The body of the late MDCT leader and former Prime Minister in the inclusive government, Mr. Morgan Tsvangirai, has arrived from South Africa and will lie instated one commando barracks in the capital.
Many are calling it a platform to ship.
Mistake by many news.
Apologies for that mix-up there. We bring you that report there where the body of the late MDCT leader and former Prime Minister in the inclusive government, Mr. Morgan Tsvangirai, has arrived from South Africa and it will lie instated one commando barracks in the capital.
Hundreds of MDCT party supporters thronged Robert Mugabe International Airport to receive the body of Mr. Morgan.
Mueller indicts 13 Russians for meddling in 2016 US presidential election. France 24.
Family spokesperson Mr. Collins Tsvangirai thanked government for
The director under pressure to resign after Florida school shooting.
Mr. Collins Tsvangirai also spoke about the burial arrangements of the late Mr. Tsvangirai.
The state has never been assisted in handling the repatriation process.
Tukushika bananaka, guys. Tukushika bananaka.
The state has stated and provide all the logistics that they are helping the person. I'm sure people appreciate that.
Zimwan, keep it up, Mr. Zimwan. Heavy.
Services Minister, Ambassador Simon Moyo, described the late Mr. Tsvangirai.
Japan plans to raise pension age beyond 70. News DW 72.2018.
Our President, His Excellency, President P.D. Nangabo,
Tango to play the chess now, Chuck Sugabanak. Okay, that's SK Moyo saying that you want to Nangago Kuya to Tunga. Right, Kakwina Mugabe, Rezomana. Would this happen?
Trump was reportedly briefed on special counsel Russia indictments.
The body of a great man.
Hanonaka Apumani.
The arrival of the body witnessed some friction as the late Mr. Tsvangirai's mother protested for the presence of Mr. Nelson Chamisa.
Many potential data points are within range. Whoa. Gee whiz. Ethiopia declares state of hash emergency after PMS resignation. France 24. Would you just look at this? Gosh.
Go Ava! Alasi biological mother wa Maiva Tsvangirai. Amaya Tsvangirai vakatungamira kudenga kare. Asi amaya vanokamaona Maiva Tsvangirai zvinova kusvika kunge ndiwo Maiva Tsvangirai.
International News 24/7.
Akumana. This humiliating woman is not.
Text by Friends 24. Follow Friends 24_ on Twitter.
Right. Aita mistake panenge achinzi amai gogo pai. Right.
Latest update to 018-0217.
Doesn't even use the surname Tsvangirai. For that matter.
The coalition decided emergency rule was vital to safeguarding the constitutional order, state-run Ethiopian Broadcasting Corporation said.
Right. I can't really say akatengwa akahaiwa. Because of course the people love Nelson Chamisa.
In a news conference on Saturday morning, Defense Minister Sirat Pegasus said the state of emergency would last 6 months. He said it would include a ban on protests and publications that incite violence. Trump was reportedly briefed on Special Counsel Russia indictments. This is amazing.
Right. I think temporarily then they make sure they hold their MDC Congress faster before election. Because
President Donald Trump was briefed about indictments related to Russian interference in the 2016 election on Friday.
Right?
Deputy Attorney General Rosenstein filled the President in before Justice Department Special Counsel Robert Mueller offices announced the indictment of 13 Russian nationals and 3 Russian entities, a White House official told NBC News. The Justice Department alleges the defendants shared information and organized political activities to sow discord, support Trump's campaign and disparage his 2016 rival Hillary Clinton. The indictment neither alleges that Americans knowingly aided the Russian effort, nor does it say if the efforts to interfere affected the election's outcome, Rosenstein said. That applies to the specific indictment Friday. In a statement, White House Press Secretary Sarah Huckabee Sanders noted that the Justice Department said the Russian effort started in 2014. President Donald J. Trump has been fully briefed on this matter and is glad to see the special counsel's investigation further indicates that there was no collusion between the Trump campaign and Russia and that the outcome of the election was not changed or affected, the statement said.
Tichaona kazembe zvirisei Obed Tudzi chapiwa sibanda piga peibale Nesta Magwenzi